All right, we're here at the Mountain House project and we're going to do a little bit more plumbing. I'm standing inside the shower and I'm going to be changing some of this stuff. We're still waiting for the new plumbing valves and stuff, but I can get my rough in pretty close. So these two lines that drop down were for the old tub filler, which was on this side of the wall. So I'll be cutting that out, and then I'm going to use those supplies to run over here to where the new tub filler is going to be mounted on the wall. So we'll cut the copper and I'll connect the PEX, and then I'm just going to cut this valve out and I'll have my lines ready for when the new valve arrives. So we'll see what that looks like when we're done. So I got the old valve cut out, and before we can hook up our PEX, we need to solder on these fittings here that go from copper to PEX. So I cleaned the fittings inside and out, applied flux, and now we'll sweat those on, let them cool down, and then we'll get our PEX hooked up to it. Okay, so those are soldered on, and then you can cool them off with a damp cloth. I would just want to let you know that you have to be careful, because when they are hot and you put this rag around it, it will create steam, and if it gets through the rag, it will burn pretty bad. So be careful when you're doing that, but just clean them up, make sure your solder went all the way around. I'll check on the other side. So it's nice to have that open on that side too. Now I'm going to get the PEX ready to slide onto these fittings. All right, so this is the Milwaukee version of the PEX expander tool. And you just insert this guy into the pipe. There's a ring I'll show you in a second that goes outside the pipe, and it gets expanded at the same time. And then when those two shrink back to their normal size, you have a watertight fitting. And on the 1/2-inch PEX that we're using, they recommend 6 revolutions on this guy, and that changes a little bit if you're going to go to 3/4-inch pipe. So you just check the manufacturer's specs on how many reps they want you to do. But it's pretty simple, and you can count with me. When that's done, you slide the PEX over your fitting, hold it in there for a few seconds, and then it's good to go. The little rings that I was mentioning that slip on the end of those tubes are here. They only go on one way. You want to make sure you push your pipe all the way in until it hits the stop before you expand your pipe and this fitting. And then once it shrinks down, like I said, it's going to be a watertight connection. Okay, those guys are attached. So after you expand it and you slide it up onto your fitting, you just want to make sure you push that all the way up to the shoulder. And you're good. We usually let these set for a few minutes before we turn the water on and pressure test everything. But over there I have where the vanity is going to go. Those are the hot and cold supplies where the angle stops are going to be. I do have 2 angle stops on there right now. I like to put those on so when we turn the water on, we can open those up and let the pressure out. Make sure we got the lines filled with water so that we can check for leaks. So we got the valve cut out, and I was thinking that I would just cap these for now, because we're going to have to reassess it once we get the valve and see which way we want to go. But we should be able to easily get this copper connected to the new valve. So we're going to use these shark bite caps for temporary, so we can turn the water back on. But they have this little gauge, and it's made for different size pipes. But you slide that all the way down, then you make a mark on the bottom. That way you know you push your fitting all the way on. They need to go on about 1 inch. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but we have a little red mark there to show us our inch line. So we'll pop these on. All right, so those are pushed on all the way. When we go to remove them to put our valve in, they do have this tool. There are other ways to do it, but this guy is easy because that little light tan piece moves. So this guy squishes it together and lets it release off the pipe. I think I could probably do one. Let's see, it only goes on one way. So it goes like that and you squeeze it. Squeeze it hard and they pop off.